So just last season, we saw some amazing individual performances from a number of players. We had SGA and Luka both average 30 points per game on ridiculous efficiency while leading their teams to amazing regular season runs. We saw Jokic dominate the league and take home yet another MVP award, the third of his career. But my favorite had to be the performances of Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. I said this before on a few vids a couple of months ago. There wasn't a duo or a team that had more to prove last season than Brown, Tatum, and the Celtics. We saw them make so many deep playoff runs since 2018, and even with that, they weren't able to get over the hump. But last season, those two finally put it all together and dominated all the way from day one of the regular season up to the finals, winning their first championship since 2008. So seeing Tatum and Brown prove to the fans and media pundits that they are championship level players was pretty refreshing. And that got me thinking, who are some of those players that this coming season have a ton to prove? Who are those guys that have the most pressure and the highest expectations this coming season? One player I have to start with is Joel Embiid. Embiid, without a doubt, is one of the most skilled players we've ever seen at the center position and is just as skilled as any player in the league today. Hell, think about it. Whenever he matches up against the three-time MVP Nikola Jokic, he usually has his number. We've seen that multiple times over the years. But the thing that separates Embiid from other guys is that he has always either struggled come playoff time or hasn't been healthy enough to be considered as the best player in the league. This has happened while we've seen his contemporaries like Jokic, Luka Doncic, Jayson Tatum, Steph Curry, and others at least make finals appearances and even win titles. Embiid, despite having a number of really good teammates over the years, has failed to even get past the second round. One thing you can never say about the Sixers is that they haven't put great players around Joel Embiid. They put a number of really good all-star options around him over the years. So this should be the year where he puts it all together. Eyes are going to be on him, especially given the fact that he's playing along with two other all-stars in Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. Excuses are limited for Embiid. He knows it, we know it, and this is the season for him to put it all together and show that he can be as dominant in the postseason as he is during the regular season. I would say another guy with a ton of pressure on him this season is Victor Wembanyama. Now, this is a little bit of a weird one, but hear me out a bit. His rookie year, based on the eye test, was probably the best one we've seen since Michael Jordan. He showed just after year one that he has legitimate GOAT potential just based on the flashes we saw from him. The man averaged 21 points, 10 rebounds, nearly 4 assists, and almost 4 blocks per game. In the eyes of the fans, people think he should have won Defensive Player of the Year over Rudy Gobert in his rookie season. He set a ridiculously high standard for himself, and the difficulty that comes with that is following up on that type of performance. And the good thing is that the Spurs have done a solid job with upgrading that roster a bit. He's playing with a really good playmaker in Chris Paul, who is just simply one of the best playmakers in the history of the league. And Stephon Castle, who was drafted out of UConn, has been good so far in the summer league, and he gives the Spurs another talented offensive option, and that could tack on some more wins. So with more options around him and a larger window for team success, the table is set for Wemby to follow up on that dominant rookie season and possibly put himself on some All-NBA and All-Star lists. Again, this is a weird one because it's so early in his career, but just think about the hype that he had at the draft. His consistency on a year in and year out basis is going to be under a microscope, and that starts here with his sophomore campaign. Another guy with a ton of pressure this season to perform is Anthony Edwards. Last year, I can confidently say was his breakout season. He led the Wolves to their first West Finals appearance in forever, and he was like everyone's favorite player through the playoffs. I think last season was the year where everyone kind of realized that he could be two things, and these things are almost the same, but folks realized that he could be both the face of the league and the best player in the league at some point. He is a guy that is more than willing to defend while being elite on the offensive end, and he's grown into the perfect team guy and leader. And that's something that he's always had in him from day one, but last year was a season where I felt like everybody started to catch on to that. So eyes are going to be on him this season to take his game to that next level and continue to polish his offensive skill set, whether that's his playmaking or just perfecting his ability to consistently get to his spots. There were noticeably some things that we saw that Ant needed to polish up on during the postseason, and people are going to look to him to do just that this season. He was like the ultimate quote unquote, if he adds this to his game, he'll be unstoppable type of guy in the playoffs. And the Wolves haven't done a ton this offseason as far as bringing in any additional big name players, and that makes sense given their financial situation. But regardless, people are going to expect the absolute best out of of Ant this season, maybe even an MVP run, and I don't doubt he'll bring it. Last guy I'll mention here is Damian Lillard. Everyone wants to see Dame win a ring. He's playing around his most talented teammates ever. Everyone, every fan, every media person wants to see Damian Lillard win a ring, and good thing is that he's playing around his most talented set of teammates ever. Last year was a weird one. They went through 2 different coaches and obviously lost in the first round due to health issues. They were just an incomplete team through 82 games, but even with that, they were still pretty decent. So if they are healthy this year, then eyes are going to be on Lillard to take advantage and finally make that championship run. His whole career, he's kind of had that excuse that he hasn't had the best options around him to make that type of run, and I do think that's true. But Milwaukee has what they need to succeed, and it's up to their guys to follow through this season, especially Dame, who has just had a set of disappointing regular seasons over the years. So those are 4 players who I think have the most to prove this coming season. Obviously, there are others, so if I missed anyone, let me know in the comments. And hopefully these guys I already listed off can deliver on these expectations this coming season.